With some more races remaining in the 2022 season, porpoising is still a contentious issue in Formula One. The FIA decided to step in after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in an effort to shield drivers from the effects of a significant. Their intervention has brought a wide range of criticism from teams. Horner in particular kicked against FIA's intervention. So in today's video, you get to know how Horner reacted to the new porpoising measures in France. Stay tuned till the end of the video to learn more about it. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when we add new videos in the future. The FIA intervened in the new porpoising issue following a race in which Pierre Gasly claimed he battled through the weekend with the help of medications, while Lewis Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo, and a number of other drivers complained of back discomfort. The FIA then issued a technical directive to combat porpoising and stop teams from using a vehicle that would endanger its drivers. The instructions were straightforward. You must adjust your ride height if your automobile bounces excessively or violently to avoid being disqualified. The decision was made to delay the implementation of those restrictions until the French Grand Prix weekend. It was discovered that F1 teams got a fresh draft version of the TD before to the British Grand Prix that contains many revisions. The FIA has emphasized that teams should now begin making adjustments to their vehicles, even though it is only a draft and they still have a week to offer input. The level of porpoising permitted has been built up using a very complicated mathematical procedure. This has established a bouncing limit that will be in effect starting with the French GP. However, it may be raised or lowered down the road if necessary, with the following exceptions: the opening two circuits of the race, laps behind the safety vehicle, in-laps and out-laps, and laps on wet or intermediate tires. Sensors will detect how much a car bounces throughout each lap. The automobiles may have more sensors in the future to monitor bouncing more precisely. If a car bounces more than is permitted, the FIA race director will notify the stewards and request that the offending driver is disqualified. The measure will be examined throughout the race in Austria to see whether any alterations are necessary. Then it will be used at the French GP, the following leg on the F1 Tour. The FIA has cautioned teams, nevertheless, that they risk being reported to the stewards after the race if they have damaged the underfloor plank by bouncing excessively. If it were totally up to the FIA, more measures would be introduced before 2023 to end bouncing in Formula One. The vehicle's susceptibility to the phenomena will be reduced, according to the sport's governing body, although this will require a significant number of alterations that must be made in conformity with the technical regulations. Little more than halfway through the 2023 season, change will not be simple to implement. However, the FIA have greater latitude to maneuver under the pretense of safety. The FIA wants teams to employ computational fluid dynamics, or CFD, throughout the next races to evaluate various potential changes that may be made to vehicles. While Red Bull CEO Christian Horner has appealed with them not to mess with the 2023 rules, some teams have already proposed potential revisions to the FIA. Horner said, "The rules have to be black and white. That's how we end up with encyclopedias that are way too complicated. There's no such thing as the intent of the rules. It's binary. It's one or the other." Regarding the skid boards that are located beneath the floor of F1 vehicles, the FIA has also enacted new regulations. The flexibility of the floor's bottom plates will be at the center of these modifications. The FIA have emphasized that the floor must not bend more than 2 millimeters in order to guarantee that the new bouncing formula is fair for all teams. There are only 3 locations on the plank where flexibility is measured, though, in accordance with the technical norms, and there are no restrictions on flexibility anywhere else. Therefore, according to the guidelines, the plank can flex more in certain areas, but no more than 2 millimeters in spots where measurements are recorded. From the French Grand Prix ahead, the FIA is trying to crack down. The board may only flex 2 millimeters throughout its whole length, with some wiggle space, a rumored 10% being permitted. The FIA will consider a team to have intentionally broken the regulations if they race a vehicle with a plank that is overly flexible. According to the rulebook, the FIA is permitted to tighten regulations related flexibility testing without seeking input. Horner, whose team is now in the lead in both F1 World Championships, said it was already too late to intervene during a news conference after the British Grand Prix. 2 days after FIA issued instructions on a bouncing to be used at the French Grand Prix, Mercedes made it plain that they support efforts to stop the porpoising technical directive issues. According to Horner, "I think that it's too late in the day to be introducing changes for next year. We have governance for that, and the costs involved, sometimes as unintended consequences of changing complete philosophies, will affect what you carry over to next year. This will affect design and development. The most important thing and the biggest way to achieve stable costs is stability. He predicted that the teams will find solutions on their own without the FIA getting in the way. The cars will converge, he explained. You can see it already. Some cars are looking more familiar. I think that will continue over the next 6 to 9 months. So the important thing is to not dick with it. Just leave it alone and the teams will sort it out. Many other team owners supported Horner because they opposed any interference by the FIA in the rules or modifications for 2023. Alfa Romeo team chief Fred Vasseur said, "At the end of the day, the most important thing for us is stability." Mike Elliott, the technical director of Mercedes, acknowledged that his squad suffered greatly from bouncing, but said that he was open to reform. He said, "The drivers are saying it's uncomfortable and it's not safe for them when there's heavy bouncing. I think this sport has to deal with that, and the sport has to adapt and change as a result of that. The difficulty is that these cars were designed after a ground effect set of rules to try and improve overtaking. The question is, can you maintain some of that and move away from the bouncing?" After reviewing the most recent draft technical directive, he emphasized that there was still a lot of work to be done. "From what we've heard from the FIA, I think it's something they're going to have to sort of work on and build to work out how it's going to work pragmatically," he said. Using that metric, Baku is one race where we wouldn't have passed the test, but yesterday we wouldn't have even triggered the metric. Red Bull and Mercedes have both responded to the new FIA rules that will go into effect at this month's French Grand Prix. It follows complaints from drivers about back pain brought on by excessive bouncing at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, including Lewis Hamilton. To ascertain how much an automobile may bounce safely, the FIA has developed a new mathematical formula. Although this limit can be changed, teams are advised to modify their vehicles as a way. The FIA has cautioned teams, nevertheless, that they risk having their damage reported to the stewards. Christian Horner appeared to respond to the modifications by stating that they needed to be clear for teams to grasp. He said, "The rules have to be black and white. That's how we end up with encyclopedias that are way too complicated. There's no such thing as the intent of the rules. It's binary. It's one or the other. The floor must not bend more than 2 millimeters in accordance with the new regulations, and to guarantee that the rules are fair. It is thought that the new regulations also aim to close a potential gap that teams on the grid may be using. Some builders are allegedly flexing more than is permitted since they designed their planks and skid blocks to offer some cushioning. Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes, claimed that his team was shocked by the new regulation since they were unaware that it was even conceivable. Nobody knew about it until the FIA brought it up in the most recent Technical Advisory Committee, he said, which caught all the teams by complete surprise because the regulations' text and intended purpose are rather obvious. The new crackdown, according to Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Shovlin, may provide Mercedes a chance to catch up with some of its competitors. There is no argument why that could deflect more than what's in the regs. A bit of a surprise to say the least, more of a shocker. When it came to light, we realized there are opportunities that we've perhaps not been taking or exploiting, so it won't affect how we run our car. It may well be it affects our competitors, and by virtue of that, we move a little bit closer." Do you believe the FIA will modify the rule to address the team's complaints? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you for staying with me till the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and share the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Bye-bye.